Men mark their territory. The higher your body count is, the less likely he can bond you and bind you to him as his property, right?
I'll catch a grenade for ya. Put my head on the blade for ya. You know I do anything for ya. You know I do anything for ya. Wow, I was going through all this pain. Straight through my brain. Yes, I would die for you, baby. But you won't do the same.
No, she won't do the goddamn same.
Yeah.
Mr. Tyrone. First gotta get freaky for you because you love the hoes.
I don't care if they don't like me. I came here to stunt. I don't care if they don't.
What's good, everybody? Today we're going to be watching a video from real life street stars, and basically they are talking about a woman having a low body count. Now we're going to get into the depths of a little bit of occult, a little bit of metaphysical, a little bit of spiritual information and knowledge here, because this woman in this interview talks about it, and it is only right for me to break it down from my perspective on the basis of this type of information, because there's a lot of misinformation when it comes to sex, and a lot of people are spooked out and scared of sex. And it doesn't matter how many times people may try to scare people from having sex, people are going to continue to have sex. So if you're going to continue to get your freak on with 1 or 10 or 10 times 10, it is best that you may know what you're getting into. All right. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Why are men so concerned with women's body count, but men's body count are twice as much, but obviously don't matter?
Well, here's the thing. You have to understand that there's a great difference between males and females. Men and women are not the same. You are not equal. Okay? Men mark their territory. The higher your body count is, the less likely he can bond you and bind you to him as his property, right? Men are takers by nature. They take energy. That's what they do. So the more men that you're with, the more value you lose, because you got so many men taken from you, right? After they done took so much from you, what do you have to offer after that? Nothing. So as a woman, why would you want a high body count? Why would you want so many men taken from you so that you can be depressed? You can have anxiety. You can have all of these demons inside of you.
So let's get into this, right? First and foremost, it is not a man's place to make a woman his property. And the first time that I've heard something like this was from Andrew Tate, right? And it's not the right set of words to use when it comes to the bond between the divine masculine and the divine feminine. When it comes to men and women, a man doesn't make a woman his property. A man makes a woman his partner, his companion, his other half, his counterpart, not his property. And this is that religious, mindset on how men are to view women. When it's through the woman that a man is to gain insight. It's through the woman that a man is to gain counselship, that a man is to gain guidance, that he is to be anointed on his task as the head or the provider or the king or whatever the case is energy. She's the one that nurtures. She's the one that keeps the family together. She's the one that's raising the kids, right? So it's not about her being property to him. It's about her being a companion to him. It's about them being together, being one. A woman can't be a man's property and yet be one flesh. and yet be one body. It doesn't work that way. Yes, he can be the leader. Yes, he is the one leading. He's the one that has the final say so. But they, at the end of the day, are in a relationship. They are a team. She continues on talking about how that a man takes, and a man must imprint his foundation or himself or his he has to imprint himself on a woman.
Men mark their territory. The higher your body count is, the less likely he can bond you and bind you to him as his property, right?
If a woman is consistently with other men, that she loses value.
So the more men that you're with, the more value you lose because you got so many men taken from you, right?
I hate this narrative because how can a woman lose value by how many men she's been with? I didn't say what type of men, right? I said how many men she's been with. If a woman has been with many men throughout her life, but she becomes spiritual, she becomes aware of her surroundings, she becomes aware of her consciousness, she becomes aware of her spirituality and her sexuality, and now in her present day, right, in her era of today, she has more awareness and she is able to maneuver better than how she was when she was younger. There is so much value in that, because through all the many partners that she's had, she knows how to maneuver with men. She knows how to talk to men. She knows how to please men. She knows the right things and the wrong things to say to men. She knows what not to say to a man. She knows how to direct a man, not in the case of a relationship, but in a conversation, in terms of emotions, and feel better, in terms of how to get him to move how she wants him to move, in terms of inspiring him. That form of direction. But we're looking at things from such a carnal and religious perspective that we can't see a woman playing that type of role for a man. And even in the case of a woman just being extremely sexual and she wants multiple partners throughout her life, she can know her value. I guarantee you a man sees value in a woman who is extremely promiscuous. A woman who knows how to get down with the get down. A woman who has, I'm talking about not the Gok 3000. I'm talking about the Gok 9000. So I'm talking about the type where it has your toes curling up like this, your eyes rolling back, you looking like the goddamn Undertaker, okay? In his heart, he knows this woman is open, this woman is funny, this woman is beyond this world, but because of society, because of his ego, he cannot accept her. So he's going to go for the girl in the white dress. He's going to go for Cinderella. He don't want to go for the red painted lady, even though that's the one he truly loves and desires to be with. But he can't accept her past. He can't accept her for who she is. He can't try to understand her. So he has to go for what society tells you to go after and seek after. And then long term, he becomes miserable. He starts thinking about the red painted lady in the midnight hour. You see what I'm saying? A beautiful representation of this, even in the Bible, between the strange woman and Lady Sophia. Both in the same occupation. When you really narrow it down and really study, both are in the same occupation. Both are out in the streets looking for men. When you're dealing with somebody who is reckless like the strange woman, there might be some consequences to this. But when you're dealing with a woman who surpasses sex, a woman who surpasses what's just going on in between her legs, and she actually gives substance, and like I was talking about with direction, she actually understands men. She knows what she can equip to a man. He gets on a whole different level. Yeah, Lady Sophia was a promiscuous woman. Oh yes. I don't know if you ever seen the monuments or the statues of Sheila. And I don't know if I can really show this on YouTube, but just look up Sheila Nagig and you will see monuments and statues of this woman who is opening up her lips. And this is a representation of divinity, a representation of bringing forth enlightenment. Even in the Bible, right? When dealing with Christianity, to be born again, you must go through the mother. You cannot enter into the kingdom unless you be born again. And the whole representation of baptism is you going back into the divine feminine, going back into the body of woman to be born again, going back in between the legs, you know, speaking in terms of a figure of speech, right? Speaking in terms of a metaphor, to go back into the woman to be born again. Every time that you lay down with the woman, you are being born again. And we're talking about women who know their body, who know themselves. They don't have to be on some divine whole Erykah Badu type stuff, but just a woman who is just self-aware of her body and knows herself. Every time you with her, it's a grand old time. And you shouldn't base a woman's value by how many men she's been with. If anything, because she's been with more men, it should apply more value, not take away. And if we're just being honest, most women aren't going to tell you their body count anyway. Why? Because of Negroes like you. Because you're going to immediately judge her if her number surpasses 2, you already looking at her the wrong way. If her number surpasses 2, you already looking at her strange. That's how fragile some of your egos are. Because you're not willing to have a grand old time and live a good life for the rest of your life. To live your life in the sunshine with Sophia, with Lilith, with Jezebel. You want to go for Ruth and Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty. So yeah, you shouldn't take away. You shouldn't see a woman lesser than because she's been with many men. If anything, because she knows how to deal with men, because she's been with so many men, because she knows the experience and she knows how to make you feel good. She knows how to bring you up and elevate you. That it's within that scenario, it's within that beauty, that framework that you should be with the promiscuous woman. You should turn a hoe into a housewife. But see, you get discombobulated and you hear it in yourself that you can't do that. Why? What's stopping you? I don't know. I don't know how many. And then the men that she been with, I ain't trying to. What's the problem? You know how many men? You know how many women some of y'all fellas done been with up and down the block. Some of y'all been with the whole community. Some of y'all are having a conquest to conquer the world. And yet, then when you come to a point of settling down, she's supposed to accept that you done conquered half of the world. She's supposed to accept that. It's ridiculous. And concerning the basis of dealing with many different spirits and stuff like that, it is also important for you to be careful and to be aware of who you lay in bed with or who you have these type of interactions with. And don't think of it so spookish of soul attachments. You can't attach your soul to anybody. That's just not possible because your soul is limitless. You can, however, attain spirits, and spirits is just dealing with energy or vibes or whatever you want to call it. So you can attain energy from people, positive or negative. So those are things that you must be aware of when dealing with partners and stuff like that. And whatever you want to call them, demons or whatever the case is, like I said, we getting back into this religious talk again. We have to elevate in order for you to really understand the whole interaction of sex and the whole interaction of this type of negotiation with you and another person. You have to let go of what you were taught in religion. This surpasses religion. This surpasses the Bible. This surpasses what you've been taught and what you've grown up to know. So I'll leave you to that. If you want me to go a little more in depth on this topic, let me know in the comments below. All right. But concerning the basis of this topic, I do have a video where we also discuss a little bit in the terms of talking about getting the yammy whammies. All right. Till next time. We out.